you guys is what a time to be alive because somebody from Sony is like, let's not do any more Spider-Man spin-offs because anytime that we do something like this, it ends up bad. Madam Web, uh, you got Craven the Hunter coming out, the Venom films, even though the last movie did its numbers in the box office. What else? I think those are the only Spider-Man spin-offs that I know from Sony. But I feel like ever since Sam Raimi stopped doing the Spider-Man trilogy, it went downhill from there. The only good things that came out of was the Spider-Verse movies with Miles Morales in it. Those were the only things that came out of it. The good parts. The live actions, no. So thank God they're not doing it anymore. It's done. It's a wrap. Now they could just focus on the MCU Spider-Man done right. And I'm talking about the No Way Home movie. That was one of the best movies ever created. So let's get to the video. Thank God it's over.
It is a wonderful morning
funny
when
joke.
we get news like this. Sony is finally coming to their senses. An article has been released letting us know that Kraven the Hunter that is releasing this weekend, I actually watch it tonight, will be the final movie in the Sony Spider-Man spin-off universe, putting us out of our misery. But there's a catch.
No. Please. Please don't say that.
Oh, I'm going to be diving into all the details revealed about this, how we're feeling about it, kind of taking a small look back at the Sony universe. I'll save my bigger retrospective look back whenever I rank the movies, having seen them all, and it'll just be a happy funeral to be a part of now that these movies are done. But I can't be the only one celebrating. I want to hear from you. Are you actually someone that's sad that the Sony Spider-Man spin-off universe is ending?
No, I'm not.
Do you have a highlight favorite
I waited a long time for this to happen.
For Kraven the Hunter, because now
honestly,
don't look like we're getting that trilogy that some were thinking we were getting. But okay, jumping into it, this article was revealed to us by The Wrap, who actually had it under a paywall. Usually, I hate news paywalls. That's where they make you pay like $1 or $2 just so you can read the article. But man, when it comes to hating on these movies...
And that's why I don't go to that article at all. Bro, I love your videos, bro.
I am very happy
Hey, Mo.
just to be part of the end of this universe. Sony could never create an image as hard as this right here. Go ahead, take your screenshots. You're welcome. But I decided to bust out my Oscorp Industries card and pay the $2.99 just to share this glorious news with you. But the article itself actually reveals some interesting things.
Stop playing, bro.
For one, they say this: while Venom: The Last Dance launched in more than 4,000 movie screens in October, Kraven the Hunter will debut this Friday in just 3,000, a stark 25% reduction that's signaling waning confidence in Sony's failed Marvel experiment. Basically, what it's saying
it's
is
gonna
Sony
fail
is releasing
regardless.
Kraven the Hunter in less screens across theaters because they just expect this thing not to be a moneymaker at the box office. And we figured that when we saw articles saying that Kraven the Hunter would open less than Morbius, even the director coming out.
I forgot all about Morbius. That movie was hot ass to me. It was straight garbage. I would not recommend y'all to go see it. At some point, I think what Kevin Feige and the MCU needs to do is bring Venom, Morbius, and Madam Web in the MCU so they could treat her right. Because what Sony did was not only give us a middle finger, but they just simply didn't care. You know what I'm saying? They just wanted to make the money. And no matter how many times they do like a Spider-Man spinoff, whether it's about Madam Web, Venom, Morbius, or whatever. And can you honestly imagine if Sony were to keep going to make a Dr. Otto Octavius movie, or the Green Goblin film, or a Rhinoceros movie, Black Cat, Stan Lee, whatever? It's gonna fail either way. And I can honestly say thank God that all of this is over. So we ain't finna worry about what's coming out of Sony because it's a done deal. So now Kevin Feige, the MCU, can just focus on its own characters, done right.
Isn't like those previous spin-offs, guys. Please watch our movie. I feel like with this movie being rated R, actually treating Kraven like a villain, it's probably going to be the most decent spin-off out of all the movies. Well, I'll find out after tonight. But they do mention down the line what the future of this spin-off universe is, where it says, for Sony, the future appears to lie in projects more directly connected to Spider-Man himself. They've developed what they want to develop for now, a top talent agent told The Wrap. It's really about the next Spider-Man film. According to a second Sony insider, the studio is now focusing its efforts on Holland's highly anticipated fourth Spider-Man film, the next installment in the acclaimed Spider-Verse animated film series with Beyond the Spider-Verse, and a Spider-Noir television series featuring Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Projects
that.
that lean into rather than away from the web slinger's central appeal. Meaning that Sony is going to be taking the Spider-Man IP and realizing maybe we should focus on Spider-Man. And with those three projects,
they should
you
have done that a
literally have
long
Spider-Man
time ago.
front and
Although they did do two amazing Spider-Man films, one from 2012 and one from 2014. Even though I loved the costume of the second film, the film itself was a complete no-no. It was hot garbage, hot doo-doo. Even though I don't like some of the stuff from the first movie, but Andrew Garfield poured his heart out as Peter Parker of how he was in the comics. Like, he's basically the perfect Spider-Man, in my opinion. So, if you're gonna go back to focusing on Spider-Man, the character alone, well, as far as like the Spider-Verse goes, I would hope to God that you stick to your work instead of just like backtracking and want to do something different, because otherwise the Spider-Verse is dead in the Sony-verse, in my opinion. I said my opinion like 100 times, but still, but I really want them to just stay in the MCU, and how they treated Peter Parker in No Way Home, especially that ending when he was set back in time, not back in time, but in a different timeline where nobody knows who Peter Parker is or who Spider-Man is, which is kind of like a dumb move. But I did like that costume at the end, and I hope to God they keep it in the next Spider-Man 4 film.
Morales, Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir, all actual people who wear the mask are an intriguing characters on their own, instead of relying on some random villain that probably didn't deserve their own movie. However, I did mention there was a bit of a catch with this, and that's basically that they're not permanently stopping the Spider-Man spin-off universe.
Ha!
What the heck? Instead, they're more putting a pause on this situation instead of continuing on, because they have all these Spider-Man centered projects to focus on. They're basically saying for the next 3 years, we should not be hearing any more updates on another Spider-Man spin-off being worked on, a sequel to maybe Kraven or Venom 4, like that was really gonna happen. And really, we shouldn't be surprised. There was only ever really one reason why Sony was doing these Spider-Man spin-offs.
Oh God!
And that's because
Just
in the contract,
thinking about
Sony has
the Sony
with
verse
Marvel
is really
that
bad,
they're
though.
required to put a Spider-Man movie in production every 5 years. If they somehow miss the mark on making a movie every 5 years, then they lose the rights and it goes back to Marvel. This is why we so quickly
Which
had
is what
a
happened to
reboot
Spider-Man.
from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies. But Sony knew this type of filmmaking wasn't going to last, and they were just going to oversaturate the market with Spider-Man movie after Spider-Man movie. So their idea
it's
was,
kind of
let's
obvious
take
that
a
they're running
character
out of
in the
ideas
Spider-Man
at this
universe,
point.
give them their own film, and then that gives us some time in between our main Spider-Man films to really make those exceptional and fun for the audience. So it was an interesting trade-off, because that means they didn't have to rush the next big Spider-Man movie and get into production right away. They could poop out a Venom 1 or a Morbius, and that would give them another 5 years to relax and sit back. And that's also why you can see a gigantic difference in quality with movies like Madam Web, Morbius or the Venom films compared to the Spider-Man movies. I know a lot of people have enjoyed those films, mainly the Venom movies, but I was always a top tier hater because I could so easily feel the drastic change in characters, the story, the action sequences, and the overall connectivity. Like, now that this universe is kind of ending for now, it is so funny the things they were trying to do. Bringing in Vulture into the Morbius universe and having that amount to nothing, thank goodness, and I hope Vulture is still in the MCU come the next Spider-Man movie. Teasing us with the possibility of Venom and Spider-Man teaming up and then never doing anything with it. It even got so bad, Madam Web wasn't even good enough to be part of the Venom universe like originally intended.
That was,
it was in its own separate
abomination
of universe. That and just
those
a
type of
laundry
films
list of
done
things.
wrong.
But I think the other big reason they had to stop is because audiences were not stupid, Sony. They caught on really quick. Sure, you could have fooled people with a Venom movie here and there because those were at least fun, and Venom is still a popular character. But when Morbius didn't really appeal to a lot of people, and then Madam Web was another flop, characters like Kraven are now going to have to suffer. That's why Kraven is looking to do so poorly at the box office.
You kind of see that in the trailer. And you notice that right from the jump. Because, let's face it, Sony at some point just doesn't have it anymore. They don't have that magic like they used to when it comes to the original Spider-Man trilogy. That's why Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man will always be the GOAT. Even though the first two movies were the greatest, despite its issues I had with it when it comes to Mary Jane. But the third one was a complete to everybody. Even Sam Raimi admitted that the third movie was complete garbage, and you kind of noticed that from the jump. So, ever since Madam Web came out this year, a lot of people said they loved it, but a billion people hated the film because of the writing. I mean, even some actresses, Sydney Sweeney, damn, I forgot her name, but she played Madam Web, and she even had issues with it. And so it really goes to show you that if you don't know how to make good films, why even bother like making it in the first place if you're not gonna put, thoughts and effort to it? But I will give them credit though for the Venom franchise. The CGI has improved over that debacle from that crappy Spider-Man 3 film. I'll give them that. But the rest, no.
People are like, no, we caught on to what you're doing, Sony. You're not fooling us. Just give us Beyond the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 4. Thank you. So them having to stop the universe wasn't just because they weren't making as much money as they hoped. I think it was genuinely starting to hurt some of the Spider-Man brand a little bit. With them taking this 3-year pause, it's going to be interesting if they can kind of put their heads back together and when they start making these spin-off movies again, because they're just going to. After Spider-Man 4 comes out, and that turns out however it does, and they have to start development on Spider-Man 5 and 6 and whatever else, they're going to want to take their time with it, and so they're going to look in their treasure chest of Spider-Man IP and go, El Muerto, it's your time to shine.
Bruh, this meme will never stop, honestly.
They could just make it more meaningful or actually do characters that make more sense to have a solo film. Like, I think it's so crazy Spider-Man Noir is going to be a TV series instead of getting a movie. You would think with the animated Spider-Verse movie introducing audiences to a ton of different people in the Spider-Man world, they would maybe take one of those characters and give them a film. Like, heck, I'd watch a Spider-Ham movie. That to me would make a lot more sense than a frickin' El Muerto movie, man. But Sony is going to Sony. I just still can't think about the possibilities
when they do best,
universe,
make shitty films and TV shows.
Spider-Man for a
just
split second was taken out of the MCU, was going to be forced to be part of the Kraven, Venom, Morbius, Madam Web universe until they managed to fix things, and now we're still getting Spider-Man in the MCU. But we were that close to that. Also, what if these movies were successful? What if Morbius was actually good, Madam Web was actually good, and now we would be leading up to a Sinister Six multiverse movie with all these characters coming together for some reason. But this is where I throw off to you guys. You see?
Hey, the fans won. We actually wanted this nightmare to end for a long time. So now Venom could just have a proper debut in the MCU with the logo on his chest this time instead of what Sony gave us in 2018 with the first Venom. And honestly, I truly do believe that the MCU will be the best home for the Sony characters. Madam Web, Craven the Hunter, Morbius, even Venom. So just imagine Venom and Spider-Man fighting each other and then working together to stop the Sinister Six. Like, just imagine that. So shout out to this content creator. I'm glad that Sony is realizing that, you know what, you need to focus on Spider-Man instead of trying to do spin-offs. Because no matter how many times you do it, it ain't working, my friend, at all. Link to the original video will be down below, and I'm holla at y'all.